Let's talk about evaluating expressions. When you just want to evaluate an expression, that means they've given you values for your variables. You want to substitute in those values and then simplify what they've given you. So we're going to look at 3 simple examples to get us started. So we have, for example, 1. They've given us x equals -2, y equals 3, and z equals 1 for all 3 of these examples. So we need to substitute those values in and simplify. So I have negative x squared minus 4 times the quantity x plus 1. You got to be careful right here where you have a negative and x is also equal to a negative number. So leave that negative that's part of your expression. X itself is equal to -2, and that is squared in the expression. So notice how I treated those negatives. That negative is still there. X is equivalent to -2, and then it's squared. Then we can continue on. We have -4. X again is -2 plus 1. Some people put an extra parentheses around that -2 right there, but since it's not really in danger of us messing up that negative, I'm just going to leave it open for now. But this one was in danger of maybe missing a negative right there, so that one's more important. So let's take care of, like order of operation states, we should take care of our parentheses or our grouping symbols first. So inside this parentheses, we have -2 plus 1 would be -1. Let's bring down other terms we haven't simplified yet. In this parentheses, we have an exponent, so let's go ahead and say -2 times itself would be +4, but there's still the negative in front of that parentheses we don't want to forget. So then we end up with -4 minus 4 times -1 will turn out to be +4. So then we have -4 plus 4 ends up as 0. So that's it for our first example. Let's look at example 2. So in example 2, we have the absolute value bars. We need to remember that anything in those absolute value symbols are going to come out as a positive, but don't take them away right away, because then you can make a mistake with your problem. So let's keep them in our problem for just a minute. Keep the 3 in the front. X is equivalent to -2. Y is equivalent to 3. Bring down the 4. Minus z, which would be 1. And again, we don't have to worry about parentheses with the z because we won't make a mistake that that's -1. But it's good to keep these absolute value symbols till you're really ready to take them away. So -2 times 3, those do count as a grouping symbol. So we want to go inside our grouping symbol first to simplify. Like I would not recommend distributing by 3 right there. That's not the best start of our problem. So let's simplify inside first. So we have -6 plus 4. Bring down the 3 and the -1. -6 plus 4 would be -2. Bring down the 3 and the -1. Now would be an appropriate time to take away the absolute value symbols, because now we just have this one number, and now I can clearly see the absolute value of -2 would come out as +2, and I can finish up my problem. So 3 times 2 is 6, -1 just leaves me with 5. All right, so let's look at one more. On this one, we have x squared plus y squared minus z cubed. So let's plug in x is -2, and that's squared, plus y is 3, that's squared, minus z, which is 1, is cubed. So it's good to put parentheses here since you do have multiple exponents, and then of course the x is negative right here. We want to make sure we treat it properly. And always make sure if you type -2 squared or any negative number in your calculator squared, you need to put it in parentheses. Otherwise your calculator does not read it the way you think it does. So -2 squared is 4, plus 3 squared, which is 9, minus 1 cubed. 1 times 1 times 1 is still 1. So 4 plus 9 is 13, minus 1 would be 12. So these were 3 examples. There are many